Hello everyone, welcome to this Gallery Teachers Masterclass. Today we are speaking about young learners in the summer school environment. Hello everyone, my name is Suzanne Brown and I am the director and owner of Bliss Summer Schools. We are a summer school that is based on experience and also based on the love of the wonder of summer school. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Welcome to the wonderful world of summer school. So our agenda, what are we going to be speaking about today? Well, first of all, we're going to be looking at what is summer school? What does summer school mean to the people who come to visit us, to come to stay with us? We are going to be looking at that, but essentially what we're looking at, all of the summer school environment, we're looking at it from a teacher's point of view. We want to give helpful tips, tricks, tools to our teachers who perhaps are otherwise a little bit daunted by joining a summer school. We want to highlight the differences between summer school and year-round teaching. And we want to say, yes, there are differences, but here's how we can work with those differences. We want to look at young learners at summer school. My summer school accepts students from 8 through to 17, and that is the age group that we're going to be considering when we're talking about young learners today. Summer school young learners are different to young learners throughout the year, and again, we're going to be looking at how we can help teachers make the very best of what is essentially a short-term programme. Every summer should be the best summer yet. Absolutely. So we're going to be looking at number 3, tips and tools for a successful summer. Every summer that we have enhances the language skills of our students. And it's up to us to get it right first time, because really we don't have that much time to not get it right first time. So that's what our third point on our agenda is going to be today, getting it right first time. Tips and tools for a successful summer. Then after that, we will be making some conclusions. We will come to some conclusions that, again, we hope that will be useful for teachers to embark upon the wonderful world of summer school. So let's start there with point 1 on our agenda today. What is summer school and what is the magic of summer school? Well, summer school itself is a wonderful environment. Our students come from all over. We have students from 4 continents last year and also this year, and they are meeting, in our case, in Scotland, but also across the UK. They're meeting in a completely different world that is their normal day-to-day life. If you have students coming in from China, meeting students from Mexico, meeting students from Italy, Spain, and France, where else is that magic going to happen other than in a summer school environment? So when we invite these international students to come to, in our case, look at Scottish culture and look at look at Scotland as a country, we're also saying, come here and meet people that you might not have the opportunity to meet in your own country. You might not have crossed paths with them before. Summer school itself is a very intense and very dynamic environment. It's the kind of environment where people learn about themselves as well as learn about other people, as well as learn about other cultures and countries and languages, and of course learn further English. Classes that we run usually are multilingual and usually are multicultural. We do aim for a mixed nationality student basis, and the reason that we do that is because we want everybody to realise that the go-to language is English. There's no point just dropping back into French or Italian or Spanish or whatever your native language is. There's no point doing that because everybody else will be speaking English, and that's what we are trying to achieve when we talk about summer school. When we talk about summer school, yes, we have our formal classes in the mornings, or if we're zigzagging our timetable, also in the afternoons. But when the students come out of their classes, that is when a lot of the learning happens. So the classes, yes, are multilingual and multicultural, but when they come out of those classes, they continue to use English, they continue to learn about each other, they continue to improve their language skills. And that's why we say that learning is not just in the classroom. When we're giving instructions for the day, for example, we will give all of that in English. In our summer school, we have 2 assemblies per day, so that we can say to everyone, this is what we're doing today. Has everybody got the equipment that they need? Is everybody okay? Does everybody know where they're going? And all of this is done in English. So it's a very unique environment for students. Now, with that, we've also got to think that our students are coming from abroad to our lovely bases that we have here in the UK. But they might never have been here before. This might be their first experience away from their family. This could be their first experience traveling alone. Or this could be their first experience traveling in a group. We don't know. So what we have to understand is that people are in an environment that's not just different for us as teachers, but it's also different for them as students. So what we're trying to achieve by acknowledging that and by understanding that, and what we say to our teachers is that we don't want to fall into their first language. What we do want to do is create independent users of English. And the more that we do that through things like assembly or kayaking that you can see in the picture that we have here, or horse riding or golf, this becomes environmental learning that creates independent users. And essentially that's what we want, because there's no point, creating a dependent user of English in a student, because if they're wandering down, I don't know, Oxford Street in London, they can't phone you as their teacher and ask a question. How do you say this in English? What we want them to do is think for themselves, think to ask a question, or to get some further information, or to make a friend and create a network and create a network of friends across the world. Everything at summer school, absolutely everything, is a learning opportunity. And we as teachers, quite often we think about realia, and we think about, how can we make this more interactive? All you have to do in summer school is look around. All you have to do is look in front of you, and what do you have? Whatever you do have, it's a learning opportunity. Now, quite often our campuses are quite rural, so we do learning opportunities outside. We look at nature, we look at tree identification, we do artwork outside, we do lots of different things that are encouraging our students to speak and use the language, but in the environment that we have. And that's what we mean, that everything is a learning opportunity. So when you are a teacher in summer school, it's worth remembering that absolutely everything in that environment, albeit new to you potentially, it's also very new to your students that you have there. There's no sense of routine yet. There's no sense of familiarity. Everything is new. And that's what we mean by everything being a learning opportunity. We can also see a marked difference in linguistic interference. When we have lots of different first languages in the same environment, then the interference that comes from any one language tends to be reduced, tends to be worn out, which is a really good thing, obviously. So while one first language might say, I am agree, another first language wouldn't say that. And so the students would be able to learn from each other and pick up different ways of saying things, and therefore reducing linguistic interference. One other thing that we do is we base everything on the theory of natural acquisition. So we will talk to our students, we will show them different ways of saying things, we will show them different ways of doing things, and we will encourage them and we will support them, because we understand that our students are in a new environment, that is, it's all for the learning. And as from a teacher's point of view, this is wonderful. This is like walking into a library full of books you've never seen before, full of podcasts you've never heard before, full of apps you've never used before. And this is what summer school is, and that's why it's wonderful. So it is wonderful for students, absolutely, and you can feel the fizzle and the crackle when they get excited about what you're doing, and it is literally giving me goosebumps right now. But from a teacher's point of view, it's also the same thing. A teacher has so much opportunity there to grab onto and to use, because it's all absolutely brand new. So from a teacher's point of view, we can also say, summer school could be daunting. Now, I know this. Before I started working in summer schools, now I've been teaching for outrageously 24 years now, and I had opportunities, and I let those opportunities go because I was a little bit scared, a little bit daunted of what summer school is and what summer school actually means. So the reason that summer school can be a little bit daunting is because teachers tend to get to know their own students. In the summer school environment, you don't have that opportunity. Now, summer schools do lots of different ways, or have lots of different ways, in order to say, yes, we are accepting you as our students. And we are going to measure your level. Now, sometimes it's on arrival, sometimes there's a test online, sometimes it's a Zoom or a Skype interview or something similar to that. But unfortunately, the teachers aren't usually, not always, but aren't usually the people who do that linguistic measurement. So when teachers are used to knowing their students, teachers know their levels, they know their preferences, they know their interests, their topics. The teachers don't have that luxury at summer school. So you can understand that from a teacher's point of view, you're going in there to an environment that is potentially absolutely new to you, but also is new to the students. So everybody is in the dark somewhat. Teachers knowing their own environment is a great source of comfort. And I, having been a teacher for as long as I've been a teacher, I know that there's nothing nicer than going into your own staff room and you know where the coffee is, and you know where the photocopier is, and you know the staff around the school. Summer school is daunting because it's not that. Summer school is daunting because teachers will go in and within a matter of days, they must create themselves a team. They must know where everything is and how everything works. And that can be daunting. That can be off-putting because summer school is so fast-paced. It's so furiously different every single day that teachers who don't have the mindset of have a flexible mindset might feel as if that they are a fish out of water, don't know what I'm doing, will never be able to do this. But actually, even if they don't know, even if the teacher themselves don't know where the photocopier is, someone does. And that's the good thing about summer school. Somebody always knows. And there's always somebody there willing to help. Again, level assessments. From a summer school admin point of view, I can tell you that there's about 85% of assessments that come in intermediate. Great. What does that mean? Now, intermediate seems to be a catch-all, and it's also a level that is wildly and vastly different from nationality to nationality. So what we have to do as summer school teachers, we've got to understand that you could be in there in a class that is graded at A2 and is presenting at B2. B1, something like that. Level assessments can be wrong, and there's so many reasons for that when the teacher gets the end result, the teacher could be in a classroom with half the students are A2 and the other half are B2. Why does that happen? Well, it happens for lots of different reasons. But again, the flexibility is calling here. And a summer school teacher shouldn't be daunted by this. They should just accept that this is the way that it is. Sometimes we have to change classes, sometimes we have to change levels, and that's fine. Now, what we've got in place is a syllabus that means that across every class, on every day, any moment, everybody's doing the same topic. And what that means is nothing repeats over the 6-week period that we run for. And it also means that students can easily swap between levels. They never repeat a topic, they never do the same thing twice. But what they do is change to be in the correct level for themselves. When we're looking at the environment of summer school, one of the main differences is the multilingual classes, because certainly I taught for 10 years in Italy, and I taught in that time a handful of students who aren't Italian. The rest of them it was monolingual classes, and and that would be 99.9% of my classroom schedule were Italian students. So you get to understand, what topics are we talking about? What are the problems? What is the linguistic interference that you have to iron out? What are these, what are the sort of typical issues that come up? You get to understand that. Whereas with multilingual classes, a lot of those issues don't come up at all, or they come up and it's kind of like whack-a-mole. They come up all over the classroom, but from different first languages. So you don't particularly know 100% what's coming your way. And also you don't particularly know what to do about that. So that can be another reason that for a summer school teacher, a new teacher, the summer school environment can be really difficult, because how do I deal with, interference from Spanish, French, Japanese, and I don't know, Italian all in the same moment? How do I deal with that? Well, again, from a summer school point of view, you don't have to deal with everything absolutely all at the same time. What you have to deal with is having a lesson planned that is flexible enough to support this. And again, this is something that is daunting, yes. But from a teacher's point of view, it's actually super, because really what you can do is you can include all of these differences, because essentially that's what they are. You can include all of these differences in the structure of your lesson. And it's wonderful. And it means that we can talk about these differences, and it means that we can embrace them, and we can speak about them, and everything becomes transparent. That leads me on to my next point. Communication is key at summer school. Now, never a truer statement has been said. And from my point of view as the academic director of 3 schools, I want to know, need to know, must know who is where, doing what and when. Now, if my teachers swap students and levels amongst themselves and don't tell my senior teachers, who then don't communicate with me, then that's going to be problematic. However, if everything is put in place, which is what we have an academic director, which is me acting for 3 schools. We have then senior teachers placed within each school, and then we have classroom teachers who are part of that team that is led by the senior teacher. Now, everything must be communicated. It was somebody late from the residence this morning. Did somebody have a headache? Is somebody feeling homesick? Does somebody need to change their level? Does somebody need to get a new notebook? Everything must be communicated. That is different from year-round teaching, because not everything has to be communicated when we're talking about year-round, because you know your students better, you know them, you know their backgrounds, you know their personalities, you know them in more detail, if you like, year-round. But when you are looking at young learners who are from different environments, different backgrounds, different countries than perhaps you've even visited, it's difficult to know what you are actually working with. That's why communication is key at summer school. We have rules which are there are no changes to be made until it is communicated first with the senior teacher, and then the senior teacher has to approve that, and then that's communicated to me as academic manager. Teachers must understand that the communication in a summer school is it has to be fast, it has to be dynamic, it has to be accurate. Teachers are not asked to make decisions on level changes, but teachers are asked to give input to level changes. Do you think that this is appropriate? Or is that student there wanting to be in a class with their friends? What's actually happening? When we are looking at the summer school environment and we're looking at things like level changes, for example, we've got to understand that we have got a 2-week, 3-week, sometimes 4-week window. That's not a long time. We have to embrace the homesickness, the fish out of water feeling, the different food, the different time zones, the different scheduling, all of these different things. We've got to embrace all of that, and we've also got to ensure that leaps and bounds are made linguistically. How do we do that? It's so difficult. By working together, by being a team. That's how we do it. And that's why we talk about communication as key at summer school. And again, I will reiterate what I just said. Never a truer statement has been made. What we have to think about also is preferences of different nationalities. Now, I have not been to every country in the world, and I do not know every type of student that I might have in my class. And as I said, I have been teaching for a very long time, but unfortunately, I haven't quite got to to those levels of understanding quite yet. Now, sometimes teachers can make assumptions, which is always a dangerous thing to do. And sometimes teachers can think, well, this has got to be something, a topic that everyone can talk about. Now, we all know that there are certain topics that we would never talk about in a young learners class, and that's absolutely correct. We shouldn't. But things such as climate change or football, you would think perhaps were quite reasonable things to discuss at summer school with young learners. But we have had with both of those topics, we have had questions raised, eyebrows raised in the past, and not particularly in a bad way, but in a way that is, why are we discussing this? What is climate change to do with summer school in Scotland? Well, from my point of view, lots and lots. The vocabulary itself, the concepts, the future, so many different reasons that climate change is relevant. However, we've had questions asked because we had students from various countries saying, well, we don't know what this is. We've not heard of this. So again, it's something that while you might think is a topic that everybody can, participate in and everybody will have input to, sometimes it's not. Again, it's difficult to know, isn't it? It is difficult to know because, as I said, I've not been to every country in the world. I don't know what everybody's saying about climate change or football. And so it is difficult to understand that. But again, flexibility on behalf of the teacher is necessary because teachers have to understand that sometimes the plan for today is going to be tweaked a little bit. And that's just normal. That's just summer school. Football's a big one. Quite often you can get, if you have a class of football enthusiasts, and, in my experience has been Spanish students and maybe Italian students and maybe Mexican students. And, they've all got something to say about football. But in countries where football's not so prominent, it's perhaps a topic that's going to not include everyone. So again, careful planning and careful degrees of flexibility are going to take this daunting point away for a summer school teacher. If you think about things like food, for example, everybody wants to eat food. Now, it's not a case of do you like food or do you not like food? Everybody has to eat. Not everybody has to acknowledge climate change or talk about football. But everybody has to eat. So if you look at topics that are more universal, then you're going to have to, if you look at topics that are more universal, you'll see that you will have more input from your learners. And again, when we're talking about young learners, while some of them will want to know about football and climate change regardless, others will switch off. And that's just the way that it works. So when you're planning your topics and when you're planning your classes, think about what is universal. What are we all involved in? And there's so many contact points. There's so many things that are, common ground, essentially, and that we can make lessons out of, such as travel, because most of us, if not all of us, have travelled to be there. So how do we travel? That's one thing that we would talk about. And from that, we can go on to climate change. We can also go on to football. But we can start off with something that is universal. So there you go. There's 2 top tips for you. Food and travel. The age range is something else that we have to think about. The age range, we have very young learners and we also have slightly older young learners. But because we have that large age range, what should a teacher expect to have in their class? Is it realistic to have a 10-year-old and a 17-year-old in the same class? Well, honestly, no. A 10-year-old and a 17-year-old see things very differently. And so we have to be absolutely sure that in that short time frame that we have available to us, which sometimes is 1 week, but sometimes it's 6 weeks, but it's still a short time frame. We have to make sure that everybody is in an age and stage appropriate class, because then they will get the most out of it. When you have to look at age and you have to look at level, where do you make the compromises? Well, the good news is that teachers don't have to make the compromises. Teachers are in a position to include everybody. All we have to think about is being diverse within the lesson that we have. Differentiation is what we like to call it in the world of teaching, when we have slightly different levels but similar age groups and therefore similar ways of looking at things and understanding things. The big question is, though, can things be changed in time? And again, summer school teachers do tend to worry about this. Will, this student get the most out of the programme if they're only here for 1 or 2 weeks and they're getting changed in their classes? Well, again, this is up to the structure of the summer school. This is up to your senior teacher. This is up to the academic manager, but it does come down fundamentally to the teacher, because I'm going to go back to my point, communication is key. Let us know. And that's all we ask of our teachers. And that's what we expect our teachers to do. Flag it up. You don't have to make the process yourself. You don't have to make the decision yourself. But what we would ask is, please flag it up. And remember, communication is key at summer school. When we're looking at our learners getting the very best that they can out of the programme, we're also looking at teachers having the very best experience. Because if you think about teachers having an excellent and a crackling experience in their post at summer school, that's going to then flow into their lessons. That enthusiasm, that motivation, that feeling of teamwork, that feeling of being valued, of knowing how much of a difference they make, of knowing how influential they are, because that's who your summer school teacher is. That your summer school teacher, all those people rolled into one. And essentially, that's who we want our teachers to be. And we want them to feel supported. We want them to know that, yes, we have to be flexible. We all have to be flexible. But we want them to know that we are there and their students are waiting for these fabulous, crackling lessons. So how do we do that? We're talking about crackling lessons. We're talking about things being flexible, things moving around, and the summer syllabus. Now, obviously, all schools are slightly different, but we have a summer syllabus, and our summer syllabus is a tool for teachers to know that they have absolutely everything that they need in order to teach the classes that they will be presented with. Our summer syllabus works from A1 through to C2. So any level that comes to us will be catered for. Our teachers know that, and our teachers know that they will be assigned a level based on preference. If we can do that, absolutely. And if we can't do that, as close to their preference as possible. But what does the syllabus look like? So our syllabus looks like a big document that is essentially broken down into days and weeks and hours. So you can look up the syllabus on a Monday, a third Monday at 10 o'clock, for example, and that will tell you what we will expect our teachers to do. So the way that we frame our syllabus is very much, we want as much personal input from the teacher as possible. We want them to make it their own, to personalise the lesson. We want them to get involved and to be enthusiastic and feel like, as I said before, they matter, they make a difference, and they are influential. We want that. But we also don't want them to feel like they are being cast adrift and they have nothing to work from. So we present our teachers with a syllabus that is broken down hour by hour, day by day, week by week, so that they know that they have a basis to work from. So a summer syllabus should be a guide for a teacher, but it should not be so prescriptive that the teacher can't put a sense of themselves into that. So to use that as a tool, our teachers know that they can rely on it. They know that they have background information, background materials. They know that they have, we have a big drive up in the famous cloud that teachers can take information from, worksheets. We've got subscriptions to apps and various different websites and a whole lot of different things that, resources that teachers can tap into. It's all there. So if you're considering becoming a summer school teacher, don't think you have to turn up with all your own planned lessons already and all your own materials. And, it's not like that. We give our teachers lesson plans. We tell them this is what we have planned for this week, but we want your input because every teacher is different and we are all different, which is wonderful. And we all have different likes and we all have different interests and we all get excited about different things. And that's what that's what they want to see. They want to see what makes the teachers happy and excited and motivated, and they want to be feeling like that too. Communicating through the syllabus for the teacher should see that the syllabus again is there as a roadmap. It's a roadmap to get the very best for the students in that short time. It's a roadmap that will take them away from any potholes, that will steer the teachers into a sort of smoother sailing, if you like. I feel like I've got a lot of metaphors going on there. But the communication to the teacher is be yourself and use what we have available to promote your own style and to make the lessons the best that they can be, because we want our students to walk away from summer school going, wow, that was completely different. That was not what I thought it was going to be. That was amazing. And we want our lessons to be interactive. We want our lessons to be dynamic. We want our lessons to be out in the front garden when it's a nice day. We want everything to be different than what is year-round teaching. We want it to be summer. We want it to be sparkle, and we want it to be enthusiastic. And when we give our teachers the support to create that, that is when we have a a proper and supportive syllabus, that's when we have a successful syllabus. The last question that we have here is, what type of syllabus should you use? Well, we like to use a combination between an input syllabus and a task-based learning syllabus. So we like to present tasks after we have inputted. Essentially, that's what we like to do. So we want to have a summer session full of new vocabulary, a new way of saying things, dynamic and changing phrases and phraseology. We want that, but then we want to turn that into something practical. We want to turn that into a presentation, a debate, a team building exercise, critical thinking as well, which takes me on to talk about something different. When we're looking at mapping the session, we have to think about, what are we trying to achieve? Where are we trying to go? It's not enough to say that we want our students just to be, involved and enjoying it and thinking it's quite nice. We want our students to understand that we've thought about who they are. So yes, things are interactive. Yes, they are, absolutely. And as I said, our sessions are input and task-based, and they appeal to all. So it's not just football, and it's not just sessions about specific interests. It's about things that affect us all and things that are important to us all, such as food and such as travel, as we've already said. Age and stage appropriate, absolutely. You will never find an 8-year-old and a 17-year-old in the same class, because they think about things in a different way. They have different ideas. They have different ways of expressing themselves. And it's not age and stage appropriate to have those two learners in the same place at the same time. They have to be flexible. Any summer school teacher that is not flexible potentially should join our next class about flexibility, because that's what makes summer school, is that it's not rigid, and it is very free-flowing, and it is very dynamic. It's adaptable. It's also innovative. Now, my first summer school back after COVID was in 2022. And I realised something major had happened, a shift had happened. And so we got to work. We had to answer that. We had to be innovative. We had to look at what is actually happening. And what we realised was happening was that our students were in a different, they were working on a different level. So what we decided to introduce was a global leaders programme. And we then created a new syllabus. We created our global leaders syllabus. And this is an overview of what that syllabus looks like. All of a sudden in 2022, it wasn't enough to provide verbs and worksheets and things that we had all been doing for 20 years or so. Well, I had been doing for 20 years or so. All of a sudden that wasn't enough. And we saw that our teachers were starting to potentially struggle a little bit, because our students were overrunning the syllabus. They were way far advanced and ahead. So we decided to introduce our Global Leaders programme. And this is an example of what we do. So our first day on Global Leaders is different. We do not speak to our students as learners of English, we speak to them as users of English. And the first thing that we talk about is leadership and language around that. So we use, for example, agile project management expressions to talk about having a daily stand-up meeting. We talk about having a Scrum framework. We talk about lots of different uses of language that are unusual, perhaps. And we do that. We have a daily stand-up meeting. So every day the first thing we do is everyone stands up and we have a meeting. We have a 15-minute meeting about what we've been doing, and we're standing up. And these are the things that will stay with our students. These are the things that are different. And these are the things that are going to let them grow into leadership and leadership positions. Personal growth and self-expression. So not just, do you like pizza? It's not that. It's not, yes, I do, no, I don't. It's not that. It is, tell me why. Tell me what it is about pizza that you like so much. Tell me what it is. How does pizza make you feel? That's what we're looking at. So we want to see that personal growth coming out in day 2. And we want to talk about self-expression. Communication is key. I think I've said it a few times now. Day 3, we go into collaborative communication. So this is team building. This is teamwork. This is us creating things together. And last year we had bridges being created, literally and figuratively. We also had we had debates being had. We had outdoor engineering sessions where people had to talk to each other and devise a plan, stick to the plan, and implement the plan. And that's what they did. And they did that on day 3. Decision making and critical thinking in English is always a lot of fun. But again, it's the language around that. And it's about knowing how to disagree with somebody, knowing how to interrupt somebody, knowing how to, come to a conclusion with other people that you perhaps don't agree with, or you perhaps have to negotiate with. So again, it's about the language of that. It's also about the critical thinking element of challenging your own ideas and your own habits. It's about challenging that as well, and that's day 4. Day 5 is about charting the future. So we're not talking about this time tomorrow I will go to America. It's not that. It's so much more in depth than that, because this is what our students asked for. This is what our students needed. And we saw that our teachers were being overwhelmed, as I said. So by putting this new syllabus in place, we've given an extra tool to our teachers so that they can look at leadership, personal growth, communication as topics, because again, going back to what we said before, not everyone likes football, but everybody has to communicate. Everybody thinks, everybody makes decisions. These are universal topics, and that's why we put that in place. Here we have some of our lovely students from last year, engineering. They were given a set of red tubes, as you can see, some black fasteners, and some other colours. We have blue and yellow there as well. And they had to make a structure. That's all they were told. Make a structure, essentially collaborate, talk to each other. And this is an example of our Global Leaders programme out in the front garden. It must have been a nice day that day. So top tips for a successful summer. That's what I want to talk to you about now. Teachers are wonderful people, and teachers want to give as much as they possibly can, that's how we're made, and it's who we are. It's what we do. Don't be daunted by a summer school. Be enthralled, be excited, be enthused by a summer school, because that's what summer school is. Summer schools are such magical places. They're wonderful networks of students, of teachers, of service providers, of everyone, all the way to from the minibus driver, all the way through to the golf instructor, all the way through to the teachers that are doing the morning or the afternoon classes. So your skills and experience are so very valuable. Doesn't matter if you taught in a summer school or not. That doesn't matter. What does matter is your transparency to give it a go. That's what we're looking for. Listen to your students as well. Yes, okay, you will not know the students in depth the way that you do know your students that you have year round. Absolutely, that's normal. Nobody expects that. We don't think that teachers coming into summer school are magicians. We don't think that. But what we do expect from a teacher, and what any teacher would do anyway, is listen to your students. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're not saying. Look at them. Are they engaged? If not, why not? Are they at the wrong level? Are they in the wrong group? Are they feeling homesick? Because all of these factors will influence your classes. So listen to your students, listen to what's being said, and listen to what's not said. Be flexible. There's no two ways about it. It's really important not to think that once you have a schedule, this is your schedule and these are your students and that's it, because level changes will happen. Also, there will be changes in preference of topics, as we've already discussed. And also there will be moments where you have to raise the level, or maybe sometimes you have to adjust the level down a little bit. And that's okay. But from a teaching point of view, be flexible. Go into a summer school with flexibility in mind and you will achieve great things. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about here. Shout out if you need it. And that's me going back to communication is key. Communication is so very important. If you don't know where the photocopier is, tell us. It's fine. First time, nobody knew what it was. If you think that a student is unhappy, is homesick, is hungry, missed breakfast, didn't know what time the sailing started, any of those things, let us know. There is a support network. Summer school teachers aren't on their own. There is a support network for you and also for the students. Everybody is there for you and also for the students. Trust us, trust your team. We are there for you. We want you to have a great time. We want you to love it. On my website, it says, apply now. It's the best job you'll ever have. We think so. But trust your team and trust your other teachers that they will be feeling what you're feeling. If you do feel a little bit daunted, they will be feeling that too. But remember that when you do create that magic for the summer school learners, when you do create that magic, your team will see that and your team will be your cheerleaders. And the last one might seem a little bit strange after I've been talking about daunting things and, being flexible and, don't worry about it, it'll all be fine, but enjoy yourself. That's why we're going to summer school. We want our students to have a wonderful time. We want them to think Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, wherever they've been, was fabulous, was the best summer ever. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to create. And you, as a teacher, you're so instrumental in that. So the more you enjoy yourself, the more your students will enjoy yourself. It's normal. It's what happens. When we're looking at summer schools, embrace those differences, because you'll never smooth them out. You'll never make everybody not different to each other. And it will stop you having a good time if you expect that. So everybody is different. They're different to you. They're different to each other. Everybody's different anyway. So accept that, embrace that, work with that, and look at what are the universal bonds that we all have. Food and travel. Flexibility, I've said it a million times, and that's what we need. Our students need you to be flexible. They don't need you to get stressed because there's a level change or because somebody is feeling homesick. They need flexibility and support. And therefore, you as a teacher, you need flexibility and support from the rest of your team. And we're there to give that to you. Summer school is an amazing, unique, magical, sparkling, wonderful environment. And therefore, it is the biggest opportunity, not just for students. Yes, absolutely for students. Students learn the language. They learn the language in situ. They have full immersion. They take the language out of the classroom and they use it all day. All day they use it. They use it for horseback riding, for golfing, for kayaking, for visiting London, Manchester, Edinburgh, Leeds, wherever. They use English all the time. They're taking it right out of the classroom. So it is an extremely rare and very valuable opportunity for them, but also for you. As a teacher, you will see a different side of yourself, a different side of your teaching personality will come out to, rise up to the challenges and to embrace them, because they're great, they're wonderful. Summer school is magic. It's wonderful. It's great. Summer school teachers bond really quickly because all of a sudden everybody realises, well, we're all here to do one thing, which is teach these young learners and allow them and support them and help them to have the best summer of their lives. and teachers bond really quickly and help each other. And what's wonderful is, and you'll know this, I'm sure, from other experiences, but teacher friends are amazing friends. Summer school teacher friends are even more amazing friends. At the end of the day, the summer school teachers that you will work with are people that you will stay in touch with. Even if next year they're teaching a different school and so are you will stay in touch. It always happens. It's a lovely bond between summer school teachers. Students themselves love the summer school. It is, as I said, it is fundamentally their summer holiday. They're coming over here, they want to have fun, and they are willing to do that with you, which is wonderful. They want to spend time with you. They want to ask you questions. They want to learn and improve through different techniques than perhaps they're used to. And they themselves are flexible, and they want to be flexible with you, and they want you to be flexible with them. You as the teacher, you are so influential, you're so important, you're so valued. And again, communication is key. If you did have any kind of anything that you wanted to change, please do trust your team. They're there for you. Summer school itself is a wonderful environment for teachers and for students. And so if you do have that opportunity and you do feel like you want to take that leap into the wonderful world of summer school, please do. And make sure you have communication in one hand and flexibility in the other. And you will have, well, the best summer ever. So, thank you very much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you have enjoyed it.